Coyote and the Seven Devils. The story goes that the Seven Devil Mountains were once 7 giant, child-eating monsters living in the Blue Mountains. Each year, the monsters traveled east, devouring Nez Perce children in their paths. According to Nez Perce legend, the tribe's chief asked Coyote to help free the children from the tyranny of the 7 giants, and the Coyote asked his friend Fox for advice. "We will first dig 7 holes," said the fox. "We will then fill the holes with boiling liquid." Coyote gathered all the animals with claws: beavers, merits, cougars, and bears. They helped dig the 7 holes. Then, Coyote filled the holes with rust-colored liquid. Coyote and Fox dropped hot rocks into the liquid to make it boil. The next time the 7 devil monsters traveled east, they fell into the 7 deep holes of boiling liquid. They fumed and splashed, but they couldn't climb their way out. As they struggled, they scattered the liquid as far as man could travel in a day. Coyote came out of his hiding place and said, "You are being punished for your wickedness. I will punish you even more by changing you into 7 mountains. I will make you very high so that everyone can see you. You will stand here forever to remind people that your punishment comes from bad deeds. I will make a deep gash in the earth here so that no more of your family can get across to trouble my people." The Coyote changed the 7 giants into the 7 Devils Mountains, and then he struck the earth and opened a deep gash in the crust, Hell's Canyon, at the feet of the petrified giants. And it said that no more evil monsters from the Blue Mountains troubled children in the land of Nez Perce. The Boise Murder House. June 30th, 1985, marks the gruesome murder of a Boise man. Some say the victim's home still serves as a haunting reminder of his violent death. Court documents only tell us that Murr was at home in his basement with Daniel Rogers and Darren Cox when, for an unknown reason, an argument broke out and Murr was shot in the shoulder. Profusely bleeding, Murr ran outside to a neighbor's home and pounded on their front door, leaving a smear of blood, while he screamed for his attackers to let him go. The neighbor called 911 and witnessed a man being dragged back into the home. Police said that Murr was forced back into the basement and then shot in the head by Daniel Rogers. This 2-story structure, now known as the Murder House, is drawing attention from visitors from all over. A jury has convicted Rogers of first-degree murder, and he's now at Idaho Correctional Center serving a life sentence. His parole was denied in 2005. Although people have lived in this house since the grisly murder had taken place, they claim that there is not a haunting. But they also do not allow cameras or video recording inside their home, and they've also refused to let any paranormal researchers and investigators in. You decide whether or not the location is haunted or not. Bear Lake Monster. This myth originally grew from articles written in the 19th century by a Joseph C. Rich, a Mormon colonizer in the area. Now, not all descriptions of the Bear Lake monsters agree, but one team of folklorists state that it is reported to resemble a serpent with legs about 18 inches long, in which it maneuvers along the shoreline. One article even reported that the creature had a large, undulating body with about 30 feet of exposed surface of a light cream color moving swiftly through the water at a distance of 3 miles from the point of observation. Others have reported seeing a monster-like animal, which went faster than a car and had a head variously described as being smaller than that of a cow, otter, a crocodile, or even a walrus. Its size was reported to be at least 50 feet long, and certainly not less than 40. And some sightings even spoke of a second member of the species and a smaller monster. Sightings of the Bear Lake monster continued, even after Rich admitted that he fabricated the whole thing as a hoax. A 1907 letter published in a Logan, Utah paper claimed that 2 men had seen the Bear Lake behemoth attack their camp and kill one of their horses. And a 4-year-old claimed to see it in 1937. A Boy Scout leader also spoke of seeing it in 1946. The last reported sighting of the monster was in June 2002, when Bear Lake business owner Brian claims to have seen the monster. Since, the monster has become part of a local folklore, partly due to sporadic sightings and partly in jest. For years, the Bear Lake Monster Boat, a tourist boat shaped like a little green lake monster, offers a 45-minute scenic cruise of Bear Lake with folklore storytelling. Idaho's Jack the Ripper. In 1954, a maximum security cell house, the old Idaho Penitentiary, was constructed complete with a gallows room on the 2nd floor. Raymond Allen Snowden was executed for the murder of Cora Dean, which occurred in Garden City on September 23, 1956. Snowden was nicknamed Idaho's Jack the Ripper. Dean's body was found with 30 stab wounds to it. The coroner had determined that her throat had been slashed first. Then, after that, Snowden thrust the blade into the base of the skull and severed her spinal cord. The murder weapon was found in a gutter in front of a nearby cigar store in Boise. Employees that worked in the store saw Snowden enter the building to use the restroom. It was enough to arrest Snowden. Snowden had also boasted about killing 2 other people, though he was only convicted of the murder of Dean. On October 18, 1957, the sentence was carried out. On the day of his hanging, the gallows were set up with a room with a glass window for the families of the victim, so they could watch the hanging. When the officers pulled the lever, the big iron trapdoor slammed against the side walls and broke the glass. Snowden's neck did not snap, so he hung there for 15 minutes, struggling for air. The family sat there listening to Snowden gargle and grunt. Now, the old Idaho Penitentiary is closed and is a museum. But there have been many witnesses saying that you can still hear Snowden struggling to catch his breath, and that it can happen day or night. Though it won't happen unless you are alone in the bottom part of the gallows. Rathdrum Witches. Back in the 1960s and 70s, the Rathdrum Witches are said to hang around highways near the woods in Idaho. Hooded figures would walk into the road late at night, so anyone who was driving at night had a possibility of seeing them. It's said that the hooded figures would span across the highway and link their hands together, making it impossible for cars to get past, forcing drivers to stop. When the car would stop, they would pull the passengers out and drag them into the woods to use as sacrifices. The rumors are believed to have fanned from cattle mutilations in the early 70s and a disappearance of a young couple, Ronald and Rita, in 1973. Rita's skull was found by hunters in 1974, and Ronald's skull was found with a bullet inside 1.5 miles away from Rita's. The man who police believed was the murderer died 2 months before the second skull was found. People also claim to see fires in the middle of the field and finding animal body parts strewn across the same area. Ghouls, I hope you enjoyed these 5 Idaho urban legends. I found a lot of Idaho and Utah ones kind of go hand in hand. So whenever I get to Utah, they'll probably be decently similar to Idaho's. So I apologize for that in advance, I suppose. Let's see. Question of the day. What would you do if you saw a bunch of hooded figures walk out from a forest on a highway road at night, and they just started to chain themselves in the middle of the road? I would just reverse the fuck out of there. I'd be like, nope, go back in reverse, look back, and just floor it backward. No thank you. Or would you drive through them? I wouldn't drive through them. I like my car too much. Let me know in the comments, ghouls. But as always, the last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen, as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.